please do ask questions at any time. There's a little text box, typing box on your control panel. Please do ask a question at any time, and I will try my hardest to answer them as we go. If we don't get to them today, then I will certainly send you an email this afternoon with the answer to your question, but I will do my best to answer them as we go through the webinar as well. So please do feel free to ask questions at any time when we go, and I'll do my utmost to answer them. So today we're going to be talking about types of copy, and two types of copy, promotional copy and web copy, and writing for each type is quite different, and so I'll explain to you why that is. I'm going to go through a little bit about effective web writing principles, how to write well for the web, a little bit about writing for your brand's tone of voice, and I'll explain what that is a bit later, a little bit about writing effectively for social media, writing for people to click on your headline or your Facebook post or your tweet, and writing effective descriptions, we'll touch on email subject lines, how to write subject lines that will be more likely to be opened. Writing for AdWords, if any of you do search engine marketing, writing an effective AdWords ad, responding to customers, and of course lastly what to write about, which is a whole other subject in itself. But anyway, let's get started. So in general, people read 30 to 50% more slowly on screen than they do for print. There's a whole bunch of reasons for this, which is probably a whole workshop in itself again, but if you can understand that it's much more difficult to read on screen, so people will be reading a lot more slowly, so therefore we need to go for clarity as much as possible. So how do we achieve clarity? So promotional copy is emails, advertising. We need to persuade people, and we're basically interrupting them. This is what I mean by promotional copy. So most of the copy that you would see in an email that you may not be expecting to get, or an advertisement or something like that, is where people have come to your website or someone's website, and they are very focused on a particular task, and they're not necessarily looking for information that you have. They mightn't necessarily know anything about you, and what your task is there is to interrupt them from what they're doing, grab their attention, and try and persuade them to your point of view, which is actually quite difficult, especially online. So that's what we call interruption copy, which is most promotional copy. Information copy is the other kind of copy I want to talk about, the second type of web writing today, which is basically most website copy. And this is where the user has a specific task in mind. It might be to find out your location, or find your prices, or find your amenities, or book with you, something like that, and they've come to your website with a specific task in mind that they want to do, and they want to complete the task as quickly as possible and then kind of leave. And so writing quite differently in this case, because what you want to do is facilitate the task, help the user to complete the task. So promotional copy, let's look at that first of all. We're trying to get their attention, and we're usually interrupting them from something they're focused on, and we're trying to persuade them to do something, which might be come to your website or book something or look at your amenities or something like that. So what do we need to do in promotional copy, not task-driven copy, but promotion copy where we're interrupting someone in order to get their attention and try and persuade them to do what we want them to do? Okay, so we start with empathy. Empathy is a really great way to start promotional copy. And think to yourself, who am I writing for? Where are they? What is their viewing situation, and when? So am I looking for a backpacker that's looking for adventure, that might be looking at my website on their mobile phone in the pub at 5 o'clock? Or am I looking for somebody that's booking from work, and they might be quite busy, and they might be quite time poor and have 100 other things thinking about? They might be in an open plan office. So try to think, who am I aiming for, and what is it like for them? And maybe what are their needs and wants and pain points? Are they busy? Are they tired? Are they stressed? Are they price driven? Is it all about getting the cheapest price, or do they just want to be looked after? So the more information you can write down about the person you're trying to reach and trying to persuade them to do something, the more effective your copy will be. This is empathy. Understand where they are and start in their world. Start by talking about them, not you. If someone is busy and or focused on a task and you're trying to interrupt them, a really effective way to do it is to start with a statement they would agree with. Start by talking about them, not you. For example, need a holiday? You deserve a relaxing break. Something that really resonates with their current situation, tired, stressed, busy, after a good bargain, whatever. Start with a statement they agree with and don't talk about yourself to start with. Plenty of time to do that when you've got their attention. And also write in a clear, compelling style. So we're talking about empathy. Who we're writing for, what are they looking for from me, what's their viewing situation, what are their key needs and wants, what do they need from me. I'm going to start by trying to grab their attention with a statement they would agree with, talking about them, not starting with my promotional offer straight away because I haven't got their attention. There's no point in me talking about me. I need to talk about them. So here's an example of empathy copy, which I quite like, by a company called Value Luxury. And you can see that the headline, everyone's idea of luxury travel is different, including yours. Okay, just as no two people are alike, neither are your best vacations. What you think is affordable and what you think is luxury is individual. So have you noticed that we are still talking about them? We haven't even mentioned ourselves yet. We're talking about them and we're saying that we understand you. We understand that you like luxury travel and we understand that you're discerning and that you want to choose for yourself. So we go on to talk more about them. The bottom line, it is your vacation. But as the Value Luxury travel experts, we have some ideas to help you decide the best affordable luxury destinations, accommodations, attractions, food and drink for your next trip. Okay, so did you notice that we didn't start talking about Value Luxury Company until we got to here, until we had spent 2.5 paragraphs talking about them. So, but this is how we would get their attention because the person that's written this copy really understands the situation, the needs, the wants, the attitudes, the beliefs, the everything about the people they're writing for, and they have started with a statement that is about them, and then they've continued with a paragraph about them, then they've made another statement about them, and then they start to talk about us. So if you come in here when someone's busy and time poor and stressed and not thinking about you with your 50% off fabulous promotional offer today, you might be successful. But I think if you start with them, you've probably got a better chance of being successful. So this is what I mean with empathy copy. If you're writing ads, if you're writing emails, if you're writing any kind of promotional interruption type copy, try to start with the viewer rather than starting with yourself. Now it takes skill and it's not easy to do and you can feel a bit strange doing it, but give it a go and see how you go. The other type of copy, the second type of copy, which we'll focus on today, is web copy, which is more about information copy. And this is where someone has come with a specific task in mind to a website and wants to complete the task as quickly as possible and then leave. So they might want to book or find information or find what's to do in the area or something like that. But they've got something specific in mind. They're time poor, busy, and they just want to complete the task and leave. So we need to write quite differently than we would in interruption copy, quite differently to this. Why is writing for websites different? Well, visitors are looking for something, which means they skim and scan. So they won't read every word if your carefully crafted copy, sad but true. They will skim the page to see if it's worth reading. They won't necessarily scroll. They won't use the mouse to scroll past the bottom of the screen. They're quite impatient. They expect to click and make things happen. The web's a very active medium, and if they've got a task in mind, they want to complete it and make it happen. They don't want to sit there and read a whole lot of text or view a whole lot of passive information that's not relevant. And they don't remember a lot. They might also be on the go. They might be in an open plan office. They might be distracted by phone calls, or if they're at home, by children or something like that. And they might also have trouble with literacy, which is actually quite common, not that they can't read, but it's more difficult to read on screen. So all these things are going on for someone that is trying to perform a task. So we need to write quite differently than empathy copy. So let's have a look at some of the web writing principles to make your writing effectively. And at the end of the day, we want to write what we call tight copy. We want to basically keep our copy as tight and spare as possible. So what do we need to do? We need to write 50% less than we would for print. Now I know a lot of people feel a bit confronted by that. But as I said, it's much harder to read on screen and you need to be more direct and write a lot fewer words than you normally would for print. Short sentences are great, no more than 20 words and one idea per sentence. So try and keep your sentences as short as possible. you obviously not feeding out of the floor if it's 21 words, but look at each sentence you have and think, can I make that shorter? Are there unnecessary words in that? Can I get that word count down while still making sense and still making a good sentence? Small paragraphs as well, so 50 to 60 words. Sometimes even a sentence can be a paragraph, and that can be very effective. It can really stand out on the page and be very punchy. So small paragraphs, short sentences. Headings, by the way, I'm going through each point briefly now, but I'll do them in more detail in a minute, so don't worry if I think I'm going too fast for you. So headings and link text are really great for helping the reader scan the page. Remember, we said they won't necessarily read every word. They'll glance at it to see if it's worth reading the whole page normally. So headings, subheadings and text of links, anything that is a visual cue that stands out on the page. And a heading will stand out because it's usually bigger and bold, and link text will stand out because they're often a different colour or bold or underlined or all three. So these, the wording in headings and link text can really help the reader to scan. Write in a direct, clear style. Use a compelling call to action. Tell your reader what to do. So many times I see beautifully crafted copy with nothing at the bottom, and the reader will read it and say, oh, that's nice, and not do anything. So tell them to book or find out more, or tell them what you want them to do. Writing an inverted pyramid style, I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute. Make your pages scannable. So as we've said, all these things will make your pages scannable in general. So here's a little humorous example, and if you have a look at the copy on the left and the copy on the right, try reading them for a sec. Okay, so you can see that the one on the right is the same sense as the one on the left, but which one is clearer and easier to read? Pretty obvious example, but it illustrates the point that the fewer words, the more effective. And remember, I've put quite a busy background here, the fish with the water, but a lot of websites do have quite busy backgrounds, and so the fewer words you use, the more punchy your copy, the easier it will be to get your point across and help the reader complete the task that they've come to your website to do. So here's an example of short sentences and small paragraphs. This is from Tesco Travel. I didn't know Tesco did travel, but they do. So this is for someone who is researching a trip on through the south of France by bike and by train. So we've got very simple short sentences. Before travelling by bicycle, ensure you're fit enough for the ride, research the routes thoroughly, buy maps that show cycling routes and get in touch with people who've done the same trip via clubs or websites, allow enough time to reach your destinations. Very simple. To my mind, actually, the second sentence is a bit long, but it's okay. It's simple, it's direct, it's not rude, it's just kind of helping the reader to find out the information that they've come to the website to do. Also, you'll notice that we've used bullet points here. Bullet points can be a really great way of dividing up your copy and helping the reader to skim and scan the page. Similarly here, when travelling by train, buy a flexible ticket which allows for ad hoc changes or stops. Take plenty of board games, packs of cards and books. If you're travelling on a budget, pack food and drinks, as these can be expensive if purchased on board. So it's quite simple. They're short sentences, they're short paragraphs, they're using headings that mean something. There's no welcome to the south of France, we're sure you'll enjoy this trip on a bicycle. I've been on it several times. There's nothing about stuff that's unnecessary here. It's all really necessary information and it's all very clearly expressed. So short sentences, small paragraphs. Here's another one. This example is from Flight Centre and it's an example of headings and white space. So this article is about dealing with jet lag. So the heading is tips for dealing with jet lag. And you'll see here that we have subheadings that break up the article. Okay, so if someone just reads the subheadings, they will get the sense of the page. Change your watch early, avoid alcohol, stretching and exercises, only sleep at night. So this is not easy to do, but you can see that if someone just glances at that, they've got your key message. They've got the information that they needed. They can go, hopefully your wonderful subheadings will entice them to come back and read the whole page, but even if they don't, at least they've got the sense of your message. The other thing that these subheadings do is they take account of user behaviour, because people do self-select information online and they may not want to read a whole article. For example, someone might come to this site with the task of finding out when should I sleep. Okay, so they don't want to know about changing a watch or alcohol or stretching next. So I just want to know when should I sleep. So tips for dealing with jet lag, only sleep at night. Great. That's what I need to know. I can read that. So you can see how effective headings and subheadings can be, first in breaking up the text and also in giving the reader cues as to what the page is about, and also helping them, encouraging them perhaps to read the paragraph below. Now, if you can't make your subheadings give the sense of the page, at least try to summarise the paragraph as you go with a meaningful subheading that will tell the reader what's in the paragraph. The other thing here, if you have control over your design, you notice there's a lot of white space here. That helps to break up the text and make it more readable as well. So we've got short paragraphs, we've got headings, lots of white space, and this is actually a very readable page on a website. Oh, whoops. We're going through to the, here's the actual article. You can see this is the live one. And it looks as it does on the screenshot, quite easy to read. Okay. So let's move on. Links, as I said, help with scanning. So when you're writing your link text, write it so the user knows what to expect when they click on it. Please don't write click here unless you really think that your audience needs to be told to click on something. I think most people know what a link does now, because click here doesn't give the reader any clues as to where they're going to go, doesn't help with scanning if you just have a bunch of click here's, and doesn't tell the reader what they're going to get when they click on it. It's not persuasive at all, so it's a waste of real estate. So here I've got, if someone's going to download a PDF file, download our annual report PDF 46K. It's good to put the size of the file in a PDF so that they know how long it's going to take. Nothing worse than clicking on a PDF and waiting for 20 minutes. They'll just close the browser and go. So find out more information, find out more here, book a tour, book now. Writing meaningful link text. Avoid click here as it's not scannable and is meaningless out of context, as I've said. So click here will not help the reader to scan the page, and it doesn't mean anything out of context. Here's an example of that. Click here to book now for cheap flights to Bali. 50% off sale on now, click here. Click here to download our company prospectus and PDF form. Click here to search for a job with us. If we reword these, we can be a lot more effective in our link text and therefore help the reader firstly to know where they're going and secondly to scan the page. So book cheap flights to Bali now. It's fine to have a long link. In fact, if it's embedded in a paragraph, it's sometimes really good because it stands out more. Find out more about our 50% off fashion sale on now. These are the key words, 50% off fashion sale on now. This is what you want to stand out on the page, so make that the link. Download our company prospectus, PDF 40K, as I said earlier. Want to work for us? And then visit our careers website. So we're telling them that they're going to a different website. So tell them where they're going to go and highlight the important words. Avoid click here. And if I just show you the next slide where I've taken out the accompanying text, you can see which one is going to be more effective and compelling. Click here or actual words in the text, okay? So maybe have a think about your website, and when you're writing your links, or maybe do your links need rewriting so that they tell the reader where to go, help them to scan the page and persuade them to click through. Okay, I'm just going to have a look. There's some questions that have come up. I'll just have a look at them. Volume of my voice goes up and down a lot. I can't keep up adjusting it. I'm sorry about that. Tell me if this is better, if you can raise your hand. Is that better? I'll just change my microphone a little bit. I think sometimes it's GoToMeeting just does this. If you can raise your hand, is that better? Or it might just be your connection. Is that okay if everyone can raise their hand if they can hear me okay still? Yep, hands going up. Some people. Is that better? Yep, great. Okay, cool. Yes, it's just something that GoToMeeting does, I'm afraid, and there's not a lot I can do about it. So, but do let me know if that's not okay. Oh, great, more hands going up. Tremendous. All right. Okay, so let's continue. So writing an inverted pyramid style I kind of touched on. And this is not a technique that's unique to the web, but it's very effective for the web. A lot of journalists and newspaper articles use it. Writing in inverted pyramid style. And what we do is we put the most important or newsworthy information at the top of the page. So your first paragraph and your heading should basically summarise your whole page. Then we put supporting details, supporting information, and down the bottom related related information that it doesn't matter too much if the user doesn't get it. There's a couple of reasons for this. Basically, if someone just glances at your page and only reads the first paragraph, they've got your most important message. I'd also, hopefully, the way you've written, if you've done your paragraphs in order of importance from the top to the bottom, you will keep persuading the reader to keep reading and encourage them to scroll down as far as you can. But if they don't scroll and they miss this related information that's not critical, it doesn't matter too much. So inverted pyramid style is very effective in taking account of user behaviour when they don't scroll and when they just glance at the page or scan it to see if it's worth reading. Now, it is a bit difficult to get used to, and you might feel a bit strange doing it again, but give it a try. Have a look at your page and ask yourself, what are the 5 to 7 things that the reader must know after they've read this page? What are the most important 3 or 5 or 7 things? Okay, what's number 1? That's going at the top. What's number 2? That's going second. What's number 3? That's going, and so on. And then write your page. And it might feel a bit strange and disjointed because we've all been trained at school to write essays that kind of start with an introduction, and then you build your argument, and then you have a massive great conclusion at the end, and this is kind of back to front. But give it a go and practice it, and you'll find it really can be quite effective. So here's an example. So summary information to capture the reader's attention, something like, looking for the best whale watch tour on the Sunshine Coast, you've come to the right place. So that's the most important thing. And then the middle part of the page might be supporting information on why you're the best whale watch tour, which might be, you know, how much you know about whale watching, or your prices, or your value, or testimonials from people, or that sort of thing. And the bottom, less important information that it doesn't matter if they miss. So preferably not your call to action, unless that's also repeated at the top. But something like, you know, what they can do after they've whale watched, or places to eat, or you know, that sort of thing. Stuff that it doesn't really matter if they miss. It's not critical for them to know. Okay, so that's inverted pyramid style. So start with your most important idea and then write the page in kind of descending order of importance and see how you go with that. Using the active voice. So this can make your writing very compelling and very clear. Use the active voice. So writing in the active voice, so using you, we, I, us, or our, makes the copy more compelling and readers are more likely to act on it. For example, your safety and comfort is important to us, so please tell our cabin crew if you need our help to board. Rather than, passengers should approach Company X's friendly cabin staff if they need any assistance with boarding. So active voice refers to the reader as you, not passengers or guests or bookers or, you know, tourists or whatever you might call them. It just says your safety and comfort is important to us. So rather than saying Company X or, you know, the name of your company, just say us, we, our. So please tell our cabin crew if you need our help to board. And when you read these, you can see which one is more likely to make the reader act. As you know, safety is quite an issue on planes in terms of the cabin crew knowing if someone needs help, because if there is an emergency and they need to get someone off and they don't know about it, you know, lives could be lost. So this is very important information, whereas if they just start with this one, it's possible that someone reading it, passengers should approach Company X's friendly cabin staff if they need any assistance with boarding. Oh, I don't know if that's me. Do I need assistance? I'm a bit scared to, you know, it's not that compelling. Whereas this one, your safety and comfort is important to us, so please tell our cabin crew if you need our help to board. It's still courteous and polite. It's not rude, but it's very compelling, and the reader is much more likely to act on an active voice than a passive voice. So again, have a look at your website and go through and look, am I referring to myself as us, or our company as us, or we, or our, or am I using our company name? Try to write in the active voice as much as you can, because it will make your copy a lot more compelling, and then readers are much more likely to act to do what you would like them to do. So active voice is another tip. Okay, so those are web writing principles, and I'm just going to spend the rest of the webinar on the remaining material. We're going to touch now on writing for your brand tone of voice. So what do I mean by tone of voice? Figure out who you are, then do it on purpose, says Dolly Parton, and she's definitely done that. She's figured out who she is, and she does it 110% every day. So your brand tone of voice is basically, the tone of voice is the feeling that readers get from a piece of writing based on how the writing sounds. The feeling should convey the personality of your brand. So have a think about your company and how you portray yourselves, not just your writing, but your images and your physical location and your products and and your logo and the typeface that you use and the people and the uniforms if they have uniforms. Everything about your company is your brand. And have a think, how would you describe that? You know, everything that people see about my company. Is it casual? Like, are we very kind of casual, informal, you know, friendly, don't stand on don't stand on service or anything like that. We just kind of say, "G'day, mate, how you going?" And we're very casual, informal. Are we wacky? Are we a bit mad? Are we a bit crazy and funny? Or are we super serious? Are we kind of going more for a super serious, formal kind of brand? Are we romantic? Are we scientific? What words do you think you might use to describe your particular brand? So just maybe have a bit of a think about that, either now or later on. Jot down a few words that might describe your brand. Or another way to look at it is to kind of use a metaphor. So if your brand was a drink, would it be a cocktail? Or would you be a nice cup of tea? Or would you be a cold beer? What kind of a drink would be a good metaphor for your brand? Would it be a nice hot milk or a iced tea or a Scotch and soda? I don't know. So it helps to look at it that way. If your brand was a car, would it be a Ferrari or would it be a family wagon or a Mini Cooper or a bike or a push bike? I don't know. Would it be a Rolls or a Jag? You know. So try to think about your brand and try to either use a metaphor like a drink or a car or describe some words. And then when you're writing about your brand, try to write in the style of these words. So if your brand is quite casual and informal, write as you would speak. Write in a very casual, informal way. If your brand is a little bit super serious or maybe going more for a luxury market, you might adopt a more formal style and maybe not use any slang or anything like that. You might use kind of much more formal, precise language. If it's romantic, you might sneak a couple of adjectives in there, perhaps, although I've told you, you know, to remove unnecessary words. Sometimes if it suits your brand, then you could put a few back in. So when you're writing for your website, try to write in the style of a Ferrari or a family wagon or a Mini Cooper, or try to write in the style of a nice cup of tea or a cocktail. So try to think about what is my brand, and then when you're writing, try to adopt that style. Good exercise. If you want to know more on branding, TQ's The Big Marketing Guide is on the TQ website. Have a look at section 2. That can give you a bit more information on branding if you're a bit unfamiliar with it or need a bit of a refresher. Okay, so we've done types of copy: promotional copy, where you're interrupting someone; web copy, where you're helping them complete a task. We've had a look at web writing principles that help you to write what we call tight copy. We've talked about writing for your brand tone of voice. Let's have a look now briefly at writing for social media. So writing for the click, writing your Facebook posts, writing for tweets, headlines and descriptions. So let's have a little recap. When we're writing for the click on social media, readers don't read every word, as we said. They skim and scan. They're impatient and they expect to click and make things happen, not read a lot of text, and they don't remember a lot. So how do we get them to click? Okay, so headlines are really the kind of 90% chance of catching someone and persuading them to read your page or read your article is a headline. And by headline, I mean blog post headline, but also the same principles will apply for a Facebook text post, a tweet, any kind of an email subject line, any kind of beginning of something or any kind of short sentence where you have to capture the reader's attention. These principles will work well for. So make them compelling to catch the reader's attention. So here's some examples. Direct headlines. So go straight to your message. Flights to WA 50% off. Now most of us probably do this with our ads or our headings or whatever we're doing, and it's absolutely fine to keep doing that if that's what you're comfortable with. But if you wanted to, you could mix it up a little bit from time to time. For example, indirect headlines use the reader's curiosity to raise a question that the article answers. For example, why I'll never dive the reef again. And everyone's thinking, why? What happened? Why won't they dive the reef again? I was doing this in a workshop a couple of weeks ago, and someone got me with why I'll never pay for parking again. I'm like, yes, I want to read that. Why won't he ever pay for parking again? So use the reader's curiosity to raise a question that the article answers, because you get them curious and hopefully entice them to read the whole thing. News headlines. So if you have a new product or you've got a content scoop, introducing Hervey Bay as our new destination. So this is very news headlines, very direct. It's an announcement, if you like. So if you've got a new room or a new tour or a new animal, depending on what your business is about, if you have something new or you're announcing something, this can be very effective as well, a bit like a direct headline. How-to are really good, how-to headlines, how to keep everyone happy on your big road trip, for example, and there's some empathy there. We're writing this one for the stressed family, or maybe a busload of backpackers, how to keep everyone happy on your big road trip. And of course the how-to is also really good because it can give you a structure for the page, so you can have your 5 tips or 7 tips or whatever on the page and use them as headings, and then you can have a paragraph about each tip. So they can be really effective. Question headlines. Use a question the reader can empathise with. Who else wants a stress-free holiday? Okay, so we're coming back to empathy again. We're trying to grab someone's attention. Ask a question. Are you busy? Are you tired? You know, who else wants a stress-free holiday? That can be very effective as well, and as a Facebook post, a tweet, whatever. Command headline tells your reader what to do. The first word is a strong verb demanding action. Book your Christmas in July break today. So book is the action word. Find out more. Visit our website. Strong verbs that will demand action and tell the reader what to do. Not rudely, of course. Reasons why. So 5 reasons why you should choose Cairns this year. Numbers are really great, not all the time, but sometimes I would use numbers. And again, reasons why starts with arousing curiosity. So why should I choose Cairns this year? And are they going to tell me anything different from all the other stuff I've read about Cairns? 5 reasons why you should choose Cairns this year. This can be quite effective, again, if you're going back to empathy. Who are my readers? What are they looking for? What are the 5 reasons that would really resonate with them as to why they should visit my company or town or region or whatever this year? And again, reasons why with a number can give you a really good structure. So you could have your 5 reasons on the page as your headline, and 1 reason per paragraph. So that's kind of very easy to write. And testimonial headlines. So provides what we call social proof. So people love testimonials online, much more likely to act if there are testimonials online, and especially if your product's new or if you're really, really good, make the most of your testimonials. So I turn to Tourism Queensland for all my holiday needs, admits Lara Bingle. Now I'm being a bit facetious here, but if you do have testimonials and you have permission to use them or could get permission to use them, then go for it, because it's a really powerful, compelling way to capture someone's attention and persuade them to do what you want them to. I had one workshop that we did on writing for the web, and it was something like best trip ever, Jason, 9 years old. And that's all you need. That was some little boy who just loved the trip that he'd done with this operator, and that was her headline, and it was fantastic, because immediately people say, why is a 9-year-old boy saying this is so great? So, you know, they've aroused the curiosity and they click through and see why he said that. So if you do have testimonials and you have or can get permission to use them, then go for it, because they can be really powerful. So these are some of the ways that you can write blog posts, email subject lines, Facebook posts from time to time, tweets, whatever you're doing, even captions occasionally, advertising copy, any of that sort of thing. Try to mix them up a little bit and use some of these different ways. Once you have established your audience, you know what they're about, use some of these different ways to write in order to make your headlines compelling. A little bit about Facebook posts now. Now, some of us may have done the Digital Ready program Module 5, which is all about Facebook, and we also have some other modules on more advanced Facebook things, but if you haven't, there is a recording and details on it on the TQ Digital Ready website, so have a look if you'd like to know more about Facebook. But basically, I'll just touch on this for now. What we want to do with Facebook often is post information that will encourage people to do something with your post. Share it or comment on it or like it. And the reason for that is if your post disappears without trace, if nobody does anything with it, then what's called your edge rank will drop. And edge rank is quite a complex thing, and there's a lot more detail about it, as I said, in Module 5. But for the purposes of today's webinar, if people share, comment or like or do something with your post, it will stay up the top of their friend's newsfeed for much longer. If you post something and nobody does anything with it, it would decay very quickly. It would disappear very quickly. But if you can post something that people are ready and willing and able to share, comment or like, it will have a much longer life. So then how do we do that? How do we post information that will encourage people to do something with our post? Questions are great. Questions that invite your audience to talk about themselves. So not too confronting though, I mean maybe share something of yourself first, but questions that invite your audience to talk about themselves. So things you know they will have an opinion on that's very easy. For example, their travel experience or travel preference, their opinion on something, or their best holiday, or what's on their bucket list, or talk about their pet or their family. Things that from what you know of your audience they would be prepared to talk about and they would have an opinion on. Because what you can do is you can say something like, do you prefer a beach holiday or a desert holiday? And so some of your likers will prefer beach and they might say beach, 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 and someone else will say desert. And then they might say why they like a desert holiday, and you can get this nice little dialogue going between yourselves and your likers, or even just between your likers without you having to do anything, as people kind of express opinions and discuss opinions about things they feel strongly about. So that can be, I wouldn't do it all the time, but that can be something that can be very effective in increasing your edge rank, asking questions that invite the audience to talk and that you know they'll have an opinion on. From time to time, if you are really, really stuck, fill in the blank things are a good trick. So something like, this is Flight Centre did this a while back. This Friday I'd love to travel to blah with blah. They just posted that on their Facebook page, Flight Centre Australia. And of course everyone can fill in that because it's Friday and everyone's dreaming about the weekend and everyone would love to go somewhere with travel, anyone that's interested in travel, which is the Facebook likers on the Flight Centre page. And so you get things like, this Friday I would love to travel to, you know, Paris with my boyfriend, or the beach with a bottle of champagne, or Pizza Hut with my children, or, you know, that sort of stuff. It's very easy for someone to fill in the blanks for that, and you can get quite a good diversity, and it can be a bit of fun, and people can like those comments, they can like the funniest ones. So the fill in the blank question can really be quite good if you ask it well. And the other one, again, this is a bit of a trick and I wouldn't do it all the time, but of course Facebook is now very visual, so you can put up a beautiful photo if you have a lovely view or a beautiful sunrise or something like that, and just ask people to like it. Hit like if you'd like to be here right now. Now, as I said, it is a little bit of a cynical trick and people know what you're doing, but it's okay to do once in a while, especially if the photo is beautiful and people really would like to be there right now. Share if you agree is another one. So Fridays should be banned, share if you agree. You can put that one up on 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon when everybody's tired and wanting to go home or something like that. You know, so again, these are tricks. So I wouldn't use them all the time, but they can be quite useful in helping people to, you know, increasing your edge rank and helping your Facebook page to stay relevant in people's newsfeed. The other thing with Facebook posts is to post interesting snippets about the company. Don't just post promotional offers. So if you've done any TQ Digital already or any, you know, other Facebook training, you've probably heard this before, but Facebook is basically, it's not a billboard. Okay, so by all means put promotions up there from time to time, but also show your human face or put interesting things about the company that you think people might be interested in. So if you have a lovely visual opportunity, if you've got chickens hatching or lambing, or if you've got a beautiful view or a trail ride or a really exciting tour video or a great catch or something, I don't know, you know, whatever your company does, post photos of that, snippets about that, people doing things, people getting married or people having babies, or, you know, whatever is going to be interesting to your target audience. It comes back to what do you know about them and who are you writing for. Whatever is going to be interesting to them about your company, hopefully they will share, comment or like whatever you put up as well. But don't just put promotional offers up all the time, because then people may or may not like the offer and it may be not so effective. Show your human face, be human, real and authentic, and know your audience so you know that the stuff you're putting up there is going to be interesting for them. So just a couple of examples of things that you can do on Facebook to encourage shares, comments or likes to your post and thereby increase your edge rank. Here's an example, couple of examples for you. This is Total Travel, and they've got a little sub-headline on Facebook, South Australia better than you think. So that, and I hope there aren't any crow eaters in our audience today, and I hope I haven't offended anybody. I didn't write it. So South Australia better than you think is quite a compelling heading, clearly written for Victorians or New South Walians or whatever. Best of South Australia total travel. So that could be quite a compelling headline if you're writing for an audience that doesn't think much of South Australia. Yeah, okay, so it's better than I think. Why is that? I better read this article. And then the first paragraph is really good too. Despite being seen by many as the boring cousin to Victoria or New South Wales, South Australia is actually a lot better than you think. Okay, so we've got quite a good headline here. We've also got quite a good first paragraph, which continues on from the headline. Okay, so this and this together would account for about 90% of the clicks, I would think. This compelling headline and then Best of South Australia and then this paragraph should encourage people to click through and read the rest of the post. So you can see they've written an effective headline, an effective first paragraph, and it's going to capture the reader's attention. They know their reader well, they know they don't think much of South Australia, and so they've written in such a way as to catch their attention and appeal to them and entice them to read the whole article. Here's another example from Flight Centre Australia. So again, this is one of the tricks that I showed you about in the previous slide for Facebook. This is just a very open-ended question. Where in the world would you most like to be enjoying your day today? Now that's a really easy question to answer. Like everybody should have an opinion on that if they've got one. And this had been up maybe 10 minutes or 20 minutes when I saw it, and we already had 79 likes, 240 comments and 1 share, which is truly amazing for one line of text. Because 240 comments, everyone can give an opinion. I'd like to be on holiday, I'm really happy sitting at home listening to the rain, you know, I'd like to be on a surf ski somewhere, you know, everyone can have an opinion about that. So you can see the effectiveness of simply asking a question, or maybe a fill-in-the-blank question. I would like to be enjoying my day today at blah. You know, that's another way you can do it. And it's very easy for people to answer it. So think about your company and your situation. Are there questions like this that you could be asking? Or fill-in-the-blank type questions that you could also be asking, that you could put on your Facebook page that relate to your company, your product or service, that people can answer easily. So start to think about that as well as posting promotional offers. Okay, so writing effective tweets, mixture of promotions, offers, information of interest and retweets. Remember, we only have 140 characters, so it's even more important to write tight copy, as we say. Make your tweets compelling, short and clear. It's good to promise the reader a reward in exchange for clicking through. And in terms of just a framework, it's good to have your message first, so statement first, then a link, a shortened link, and then if it's come from somewhere via source, and then if you want to put in a hashtag, but message first, then link. I wouldn't start with the link and then have your message unless you kind of want to mix it up a little bit. Okay, so let's have a look at writing for clicks on Twitter. So the basic statement, this is our announcement or our direct headline. We've just launched our midweek winter deals, and here's our link. So that's all we've got. We've just launched our midweek winter deals, yada, 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 which is fine. That's absolutely fine. If that's all you do on Twitter, that's fine. But here are a couple of variations to try and entice the reader to click through when they read your tweet. Need a break? So this is a question. Remember we had question headlines. Need a break? Check out our midweek winter specials. Okay. Need a break? Yeah, I do need a break. Check out our midweek winter specials. Okay, so same information, just worded a bit differently. Need a break? Check out our midweek winter specials holiday. So exactly the same, except this time we've put in a hashtag, which will make specials and holiday stand out visually on the page. Remember we were talking about visual cues before, because they're bold and they've got a hashtag. Okay, so you can put whatever you like in there really, but holiday is a very popular hashtag on Twitter, and if you're not familiar with hashtags, what it means is that this will turn into a link, and if you click on it, everything with the hashtag holiday will come up. Okay, so we've just reworded it, but we've put some hashtags in for a bit more emphasis. Okay, so a little bit more empathy copy here. This is aimed at someone who's probably a bit tired and stressed. Take care of yourself. Relaxing midweek winter specials, hashtag, recharge and rejuvenate you, holiday. Okay, so you can put hashtags wherever you like. You can put them in the middle of a sentence and they'll stand out a bit more. And here's our empathy starter. Take care of yourself. You deserve a break. Or here's one that's aimed at a specific segment, tired mothers. Our fabulous pamper package is perfect for tired mums. Relax, holiday, are the hashtags. So again, these will stand out. Relax, holiday, fabulous pamper package. I'm there. Or here's a curiosity one. It's all about the service. Why I'll never go anywhere else again. Why I'll always holiday at Maroochydore. I don't know, whatever. It's all about the service. Relax, holiday. Are you wondering what we have planned this week? So this is a question. Or find out why we'll never live anywhere else. So we're trying again to arouse curiosity here. So have a look at and a bit of a think if you're on Twitter. I know a lot of people do link Facebook and Twitter. That's kind of okay if you're time poor, but to my mind they're quite different mediums with quite different audiences and different behaviours. So if you have time, I would be doing them separately, and think about this in particular for Twitter if you're doing it. Okay, question here, just let me have a look. Oh, okay. Someone said it might be worth letting people know how to create shortened web links for Twitter. I only recently discovered how. Yes, thank you very much, question asker. Yes, a good idea. You can go, there is a, can I show you? Yes, I can. Don't look at, let's just open up another tag. One of the easiest ways to create shortened links is through a website called Bitly. Bitly.com is the URL, and you can simply put in your link here, tq.com.au. You can open up an account and sign in and do a whole bunch of other things. It's free, but if you're just in a hurry, tq.com.au, type in your very long link, if it's your website address and several other things, and then just go shorten, and there it is. And it's just created that, which is the same link. If I click on it, it'll be, yeah, there we are, homepage, tourism events, Queensland corporate information, all right, tq.com.au. Okay, so this is the shortened link, and because you only have 140 characters in Twitter, you know, you obviously want to economise the space as much as possible, and so bitly.com can be a really good way to make your link shorter and not take up your message space with a very long link. So if you're not familiar with that, give it a go. You can also track how many clicks you got through on the link and a whole bunch of other useful things. bitly.com. Thanks, question asker. That was a really good point. Let's get back to our webinar. Yeah, okay. So a little bit quickly about writing effective descriptions for things like, you know, describing your company or product on TripAdvisor, on Twitter, on Google+, where you don't have a lot of space and you need to get your message across quickly. Quite similar to writing a meta description, and if you're not familiar with that, have a look at TQ Digital Ready Module 1, but it should summarise your business. So write a compelling description that will entice people to click through. Ask yourself, what's my market looking for? Empathy again. What's the key information I need to get across? What descriptive words can I use that they'll respond to? And what I often do, and I do this for many things, not just descriptions, is to write all of your ideas down. Really, you know, make it as long as you like. Don't worry about the word count. Write everything. And then cut out all the unnecessary words and kind of narrow it down and edit it down until you've got to a small, sharp, snappy paragraph. Make it snappy is what I say. But that can be a really useful copywriting technique. If you have too much to say and you're struggling, don't try and edit first. Just write it all, then go back and edit it and edit it down. But ask yourself, what's my market looking for? What's the key information I need to tell them? What descriptive words can I use that they'll respond to? First 2 points, write it, maybe put in 1 or 2 descriptive words, then cut it. But make sure that, again, empathy, you're putting down information that will entice them to click through. Okay, a little bit on email subject lines, responding to customers, and lastly what to write about before we finish. Email subject lines. No spam. So it's great to have email subject lines quite short but not too short. So book today is a bit vague. Book what today? Why should I book? You know, versus £5 seat sale. So £5 seat sale is obviously much more compelling because it tells me what's on in the email as opposed to book today. 50 characters or less. I would even make it shorter now because so many people are accessing emails on mobiles, and obviously there's much less space. It's a much smaller screen. So make it as short as you can. Also remember that often people are have their email clients configured so that the preview pane is quite narrow, and so they may not click through and open up the whole thing. They might just read your subject line. So make it short so they can see it all, and have your important words at the front, at the beginning of the sentence. So if they miss the whole sentence, they've at least got the most salient points. Variety, so I wouldn't use the same subject line each time. And obviously, don't promise what's not in the email or have content that doesn't match your subject line. I know that sounds like a really obvious thing to say, and but you'd be amazed how many times I've clicked through and opened up an email because of what's in the subject line, and what was actually in the body of the email is actually not what's in there at all. And I've got quite disappointed and annoyed. So be consistent. with the email. Don't promise what's not in the email or have content that doesn't match. Yeah. So try not to use words like free or offer or act now. Avoid spam filters because they will get your email blocked. If you're using an email tool, often you can run it through a spam filter checker and it can tell you what words in the subject line and in the email itself are likely to get you blocked, and you can maybe reword them. Here's just an example. So I've got Pinterest weekly. I'm sure we're familiar with Pinterest, by now the photo board site, and Fancy. Fancy is not as well known as Pinterest, but it's quite a similar kind of thing where people can share photos of things and like them and follow people and do all that sort of stuff. But look at the email. This is my email subject line from Pinterest and from Fancy. So Pinterest weekly, your Pinterest recommendations, your weekly Pinterest. Hi Jane, last week. Your Pinterest recommendations, your weekly Pinterest. Hi Jane, last week. Not interesting. Doesn't compel me to click through. Doesn't tell me what's in here. As opposed to Fancy, excuse me, MacBook Pro Retina sleeve, jumbo fun stacker, underwear with pockets. The Chalk, Braun digital watch, Loma, Louboutin, plaque of jewellery, NYC subway, token necklace, one less desk, Connor reversible bow tie. So this is much more compelling. All they're doing is listing what's in the email, what photos they've got there, but they just describe it so well. I'm much more interested in clicking on, in opening up these emails than I am on this one, because this doesn't tell me anything at all about why I should open the email. So have a think about your email subject lines. Can you make them more compelling? And this is just one from Scoot. So Scoot off to Singapore and Bangkok from $111. So they know it's all about the price. They're telling people where they're going and what the price is. Simple, short, effective. $148. We finally flown. Scoot to Singapore from $179. Scoot off beyond 27th of October. Pay only the taxes. If someone only sees pay only the taxes, they'll know it's from Scoot from the logo. So they're more likely to click through. If they see the whole thing, great. So these are really good, really effective subject lines for the market and for the proposition, which is all about cheap flights in Asia. Okay, so writing for AdWords, responding to customers, what to write about just before we finish. So writing AdWords ads, match the wording of the ad to words on your landing page so the reader knows they're in the right place. That also helps your quality score. So here I'm writing about accommodation, and Google will also kind of match the word accommodation with hotels automatically. So I've got hotels in the Sunshine Coast, what it is, where it is, a core hotel / accommodation, enjoy Sunshine Coast with the core, great rates online, book now. So what I have done, I've done a search on Hotel Sunshine Coast, and this ad has come up. And you notice the keywords that I have put into Google have come up bolded, along with accommodation, which is a related word. So when you are writing your ad, have a think about keywords that people are likely to type into Google and make sure that they are in your ads as much as possible, as long as obviously it makes sense. But it's a really effective way because they'll come up bolded in the ad. Sunshine Coast Hotels, Sunshine Coast Accommodation. We've got 25 characters here. This is a link. So this needs to create awareness and interest and get you noticed. So as I said, use keywords that people are likely to search for you in Google, and use your heading to create awareness and interest. Now this is a display URL. It's 35 characters. It's not a link, and if this matches the destination that the link is going to, you can have any words here at all. And I would use keywords as a visual cue here. And the body copy, 2 lines of 35 characters each. What you want to do is get users to click through. So make sure there's a strong call to action, great rates online, book now. And make it relevant to the search words or user types, because what you don't want is to get a lot of people clicking through who are not necessarily going to buy, because all that does is drive your click rate up and how much you pay. So make sure these words here tell the reader what it's about and what they're going to get if they click through, so they don't click and then not convert as much as possible. Responding to queries, so email responses, error messages, other responses to customers, very important in customer retention when you're writing things. So what do we need to do? If someone emails you basically and you're busy or renovating or you're fully booked or whatever, it's good to maybe have a little template that will save you time in responding to queries. So what I would do is acknowledge them, thank them for booking, tell them the situation, explain you're fully booked or not taking reservations or away just now, tell them what to do next, e.g. book at a later date with a link back to your site, sign up to your email so they don't miss out next time, contact the local RTO, and there might be other things as well. And what I would do is draft a template with these things in it to responses to common queries. So if you get a lot of bookings when you're full, or bookings for a particular time when you're not open, or questions about your product, draft a template response and to save you time. So you can just come in, just whack it, copy paste and send it out, rather than each time having to draft it from scratch. And error messages, very important, often forgotten. In your form on your website or your booking form, if you have something where people have to press the submit button or do something, just go to it and check by just pressing the submit button and see what kind of error messages you get if you haven't filled in any of the fields. Because often these are forgotten, but they're really important in helping the user to book. Very important. Sometimes you get a very strange server error message which means nothing and doesn't tell you how to fix what you've done wrong. So what you need to do is tell the customer what happened in a pleasant way without making them feel silly. Tell them what to do to fix it and give them all the information they need, and tell them what to do next. So here's the error message for the Scoot booking engine, and what I did as a bit of an experiment, I didn't fill in anything here and I just clicked search, and I've got a very polite error message that says please select your origin, destination and travel dates to search for flights. So origin, the only thing I would change here is origin doesn't match the word from, but that's a small point. So, but I know what to do now, and I've got a little visual cue, a little arrow here that kind of says to me visually, when you've done that, click search again. So just a nice little error message that helps the user to fill in the blanks of the forms of the fields that they've missed, and helps them to correct the error. And lastly, what should you write about? We're often asked this question. We actually have a whole workshop, and I think we'll be having a webinar as well on planning your content. But just for now, 2 slides. What should we write about? So have a plan for writing. Post regularly. So I would post as regularly as you have time for, at least fortnightly or monthly, preferably more often than that if you have time. We understand that you're often sole operators and busy and everything, but I would definitely post regularly because that will help to keep your audience engaged. And think again, what will interest your target market? Again, we're coming back to the empathy thing. And some of the things you can think about, are there seasonal events that happen close in your region or in your area, or even you know, in Australia, things like ceremonies like Melbourne Cup or Christmas, Mother's Day, that sort of thing, or, you know, fruit picking or lambing season or chickens hatching season or spring, anything like that. Are there local events? So is there a rodeo or a festival or something like that that you could post about? Obviously, by all means, put your product promotions in, and as I said earlier, company snippets, information about your company, but don't always post about your company. Let people know what else is here, because that might be the one thing that entices them to come. So that can be really useful. Don't forget to showcase your brand's personality and tone of voice. And as I said, it doesn't have to be directly related to your product or business all the time. So for example, doing some work for a financial services client, a bank, people love to hammer banks on Facebook about their account keeping fees. So if the bank just talked about the bank, it would not be very successful. So some of the things they can talk about are things that are kind of related to banking services, like home loans, e.g. renovation stories, because people can talk about that stuff. Or vets. Vets are kind of about medicine or operations or animals in pain or, you know, being hit by cars and things. Not very nice, really. But there's a particular vet Facebook site that encourages people to put up photos of their senior pets. So you get, you know, 20-year-old grey-haired Jack Russell Terriers and, you know, all sorts of things like that. They post cute photos of cats, and they post lovely photos of wildlife that have been rescued. You know, they really tap into the emotion around the product, but they don't really directly talk about vets except from time to time. Travel sites. So obviously travel sites often talk about destinations and things to do and that sort of stuff, but there's a travel site, Condé Nast Travel, I hope I pronounced that right, that the other day had a cocktail recipe from Milan, which is kind of a little bit off the, you know, off topic for travel, but still somewhat related. So think to yourself, can I bring this out one circle? What I know, what I can talk about myself and my business, but are there things like a little bit related in the area, or things going on, or even things that are a bit quirky that I could be posting about as well? And what I would do is write down all your ideas for things related to your product, for your seasonal events, local events, product promotions, company snippets, whatever. Scribble them down on a post-it note and just move them around your desk until you've got quite a nice mix of things to post about. And then I would just make a list maybe 3 months in advance, deciding which platform, whether it's going to be on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or TripAdvisor or whatever. Make a list 3 months in advance and keep updating that list as you go, so that you don't arrive you know, at work on Monday morning or Tuesday or whatever, when you know it's Facebook Day and you've got nothing. If you have your list planned, it will save you a lot of time and effort and worrying about things. And the other thing you can do is if you see something really great, print it out, or if it's in a magazine, tear it out, put it in a manila folder and keep an ideas file. And that can, if you're really stuck for ideas, you can look in your folder and you might be surprised at what great things are in there that you'd forgotten about that you can post about. But I would really say have a plan to save yourself time and effort, and think a little bit outside the square about things you could post about. Okay, so that kind of concludes our webinar today. We're right on time, 12 o'clock. Don't forget that we have many more workshops in our Digital Ready program, and some of these have been recorded or have been webinars that are currently being recorded and will be on the site very soon. So have a look on the Digital Ready website on Web Basics, Be Bookable Online, increasing website traffic, planning your online strategy, all sorts of things to help you be more effective in the digital market. We have workshops, we have mentoring. You can always ring us. I'm here every Tuesday. If you have a specific question about your business, I can coach you over the phone or via email. And of course we have more webinars coming up, so please feel free to have a look at them and book if you're interested. I'm Jane. I've been your presenter today. Mirko and Susan are in the photo. I'm the invisible one. That's all good. Feel free to give us a ring. Here's the number, 35355800, or email us digitalcoach@tq.com.au, and the website with all of our information about workshops and also our supplementary information to help you is www.tq.com.au Digital Ready. Thanks everyone. I hope today's been useful. If you do still have questions, do feel free to stay on the line. I'm more than happy to answer them. Thanks everyone.